here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. Don't look back and wish that you had taken action. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com. Rocket.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Transportation.
This program was previously recorded.
Want to join the conversation? Call us toll free. It's 1-833-296-TALK.
5 p.m., so we're going to take 5. Brought to you by Timmy T's Gourmet Grinders with 2 locations, Kailua and Bishop Street, making the best sandwiches fast so you can take 5 with me. Order online and get it delivered, timmytees.com. Now, I know this year has been very strange for teachers, staff of schools, parents, students alike. And we are here to celebrate National Teacher Appreciation Week. Actually, today is Teacher Day. May 4th, it is nationally celebrated that these heroes in our community get a special day to say thank you for everything that they've done, especially during this past year when it was not so normal. So I also want to introduce a guest who should be thanked just as well as the staff and teachers who are inside the schools. But I have with me author, parent coach of Letting Go with Aloha, and tutor, Karen Gibson. She's the owner of Brain Builders, 26-year former special education teacher, which I guess we covered she started when she was 5. She's a mother of 2 girls, the one who always reminds me to breathe. Miss Karen, thanks for coming on the air today.
Thank you so much, Gina, for having me. I feel really honored to be on this show today.
Well, I actually am the one that's honored because I could not have done anything this school year without your positive energy, your mama moments that you have on 95.5 The Fish every Monday, and all of your tutelage, which I know you have so many students you've helped get through this as well. How has the school year affected your business?
Well, it has quadrupled, and my parenting coaching business also. I think the pandemic has truly reshaped education forever. And like you said, it's been a struggle for many of us, teachers, students, parents. Like you said, we do have, though, I feel an opportunity to just evolve schooling, so kids can get the most of it. Mm-hmm. I commend all the teachers in Hawaii. They're doing an incredible job. But like you said, if you're a kinesthetic learner, you don't like sitting in front of the computer, you don't like having your camera on, it is hard just sitting there, watching your teacher speak on your laptop when
right.
It's hard enough to be in the classroom, right?
Or iPad or cell phone or whatever the parent can muster that day that isn't broken or not charged. Not that I have any knowledge of this, but I have a 9-year-old. So it has been quite a challenging year for us as well. So, well, it's good to hear that there are success stories out there, even after such a challenging year. How are you helping your students cope with their school days, whether they be fully digital, part-time in person with the track program, fully in person and it's after school? I mean, what types of students and their learning plans are you seeing?
I have some of them who go virtual 100%. I have some who are special ed students, so they go once a week in person, but they also have virtual. And then I have students who go every single day. But I didn't realize that teachers are in the classroom teaching virtually as well as physically. So your teacher is looking at a screen as well as looking at the students in the classroom.
Right. So definite multiple hats, not to mention that Jimmy back there isn't listening. And you can't really scold them in front of the whole class who's digital and in person and everywhere else in the world.
Right. So I've had to, parents have asked me to please talk to their kids about watching YouTube on the side, refusing to turn on their camera, or just telling their teacher that they're having internet issues as soon as their name is called. I mean, we have a gamut of all different types of students, but my goal is to be not their cheerleader, but sometimes I'm their mental health specialist. Sometimes I'm just there to actually watch the videos and step by step. We have to take a photo of their math work. We have to record their answers. We have to explain what the assignment is, because sometimes, as you know, if there's some kind of lost connection, you understand it when the teacher's explaining, and then as soon as you get home, you have no idea what to do.
Yeah, I've heard from my son's teacher that getting started, I think, is the hardest part of the day. As long as you can kind of push them through to get started, take out the work from the evening before, show them how to log into whatever they're using. Now, these kids are extremely technically savvy. I don't remember doing a Zoom meeting until I was probably, 30 something. So do you think...
Yeah, now you're having kindergarteners, right?
Right. And so now these kids are expected to be able to do what we're doing in business in order to thrive. So are you seeing that this is helping, hindering?
Well, I see them one-on-one, and I've seen kids who have attention deficit disorders flourish because it's just me and them. If they're one of many squares, I'm sure it's harder to focus. But as a tutor, it's just me and them. So they get to draw on the whiteboard. But yes, I do get students, my pen disappeared. Or my battery is going to die.
Right.
Yeah, because you need to find that the 10 on Zoom, and sometimes, I forgot to charge my iPad, my laptop, my fill in the blank, and then I have to wait as they carry me across the room.
Right. Yes. Have you stared at a lot of ceilings lately? I feel like my son does that. He'll put the phone down and people are staring at the ceiling, which I'm glad is clean. It's about the only
they
piece
say,
left.
"You want to see my Christmas tree? You want to see my jack-o'-lantern? You want to see the new toy that I got?"
Yep. So you work with children from 12 to 17 years old. I mean, it sounds like we're having fun with the elementary school kids, the middle school kids, right? How are the older kids who are not necessarily getting that walk across the stage? I mean, they've got SAT prep and all these other things they need to work toward in order to get to college. What types of things are you seeing from that population of your student body?
Major stress. In fact, my daughter graduated class of 2020, so senior prom was gone, project grad was gone, right? A lot of senior moments were stolen. But if you're self-directed, I think they're still motivated, but there is, anxiety, there's depression, there's a feeling of we got ripped off. Our year is ripped off because we still need to perform, but, because of social distancing, Mililani High will have a graduation, but I think only 2 parents are allowed. So everyone else is sitting in their cars.
Do they know we're in Hawaii and immediate families about 10 to 12 strong?
It changes every day, so I have no idea.
Oh, my goodness.
It is crazy, but I do help kids understand that it is not the end of the world, that, it's a great opportunity to actually teach them how to deal with life when things don't go our way.
Yeah, so you make a good point. This is not just scholastic tutoring and work that you're doing with them. You are taking this a bit farther with your Zoom meetings, with your brain builders, with your parent coaching, which we'll get into in a little bit. But, what other skills are you hoping that this whole scenario will teach these kids, whether they are 12 or 17?
Well, I think for one, they do need to be, I teach them how to be self-directed. So if they do not understand what's going on, I've taught the kids, who's your best friend? It's Mr. Google. You have 5-year-olds. So do I just Google it and make sure also that I could find something totally opposite as you, right? But really understand your primary learning style, even as a 5-year-old. Are you visual? Are you kinesthetic? Are you auditory? If you're kinesthetic, move your finger along the words as you write. Walk around the room, not in front of, the class.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you see kinesthetic people in meetings. They're the ones who click their pens, they shake their legs, and if they're not able to move, they won't be able to think and focus. So I do teach them focusing exercises. I incorporate Brain Gym, which was invented for purely focusing or when you're too tired. I tell them that it actually opens up your left and right brain. It's like you're turning on both hemispheres. So I teach what the brain is about, how it works. We work on EQ, emotional quotient skills. What are, observing your feelings, incorporating meditation, even with a 5-year-old. Yeah, I don't do many 5 and 6-year-olds, but I have done meditation with candles with a 5-year-old. And it's amazing how open they are. Then I've heard that some of the teachers are incorporating deep breathing. The boys don't like it. They're like, I don't know why.
No, my son keeps coming back with these emotional worksheets. And the sitter's like, should I be doing this with him or should you? I'm like, I'm paying you for a service. Go ahead and keep moving. But really, I swear, it's a nice bonding activity. It really helps the parents understand that if they're frustrated, here's what you can do to work through it. I feel like they're trying a little bit more of that aspect of it from an emotional standpoint because of what they've gone through this year. It is very different than having counseling services right down the road, right? In the same campus, they'd have access to staff and teachers and principals and vice principals and other trained people to help them, right? But this year...
I think this year, a lot of services have been taken away. Special education, students feel ripped off, rightly so, but I think they are not left behind. Kids are so resilient, and I think this is an excellent opportunity to teach them, like you said, what happens in the future when they don't get into the college they want, when they experience their first heartbreak, when things, they get upset because someone cuts them off, and it prepares them for adulthood when there's a lot of things that just don't go our way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do want to talk a little bit about what you're teaching your parents. So, we have the kids covered, or at least to the best of our ability. And I know everyone's doing their best during this time. But what are you teaching the parents? Obviously, you've told me multiple times to breathe, which I appreciate because I would be dead on the ground if I didn't have you. But, what lessons are they to learn from being flexible with all of this and being patient and that type of lesson?
Well, as you know, I just published 100 parenting tips inspired by the pandemic. So the number one tip, if I were to just choose one, is really put your child's mental health ahead of their grades. So it's not all about why didn't you finish this assignment? Why did you fail such and such test? And like I remind you and everyone through Mom Moments, take a step back, just regroup and have a perspective, really connecting with your child, reminding them and you that we will get through this. So defining your role also as a parent, not an educator. I have so many parents, sometimes crying, say, I do not understand third grade math. And with Common Core, I don't think your job is to. It shouldn't be to educate because, I'm an educator and I realize I cannot educate my daughters because of just the personality.
Oh, Common Core is extreme. I don't think any parent really knows how to navigate through that without a bunch of workbooks and some YouTube videos.
Definitely. Even the second graders, I was having to relearn and reteach because I like to teach them different modalities. So I'll teach them the traditional way, but I will also explain to the parents, how this works, but remind them they do not have to educate them, and if they don't need to learn it, they don't have to. But it is good to find out why do we have to do it this way? And when you look at it, there is a logical mindset to it, but it just confuses everyone because the children don't get it. So I have to go step by step by step, and then they all get it. Parents get it, kids get it, and it just is trying to explain it so that the learning style is understood. You can't do kinesthetic learning with just words. I have to draw 10 crickets and why you have
right. Yes, I've gotten to be a much better drawer, if that's even a word, through this entire pandemic because you have to make diagrams and the whiteboard and everything. But I would like to touch when we come back on your top 5 parenting tips from your new book, so that you can tell us exactly what we should be doing, but only a slight bit, because we want to make sure that they go out and we can find where to purchase that. So stick with us. We're going to be back with Miss Karen Gibson of Brain Builders, author, parent coach of Letting Go with Aloha on AM 690, FM 94.3, The Answer.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer.
There's some heavy traffic now going west. The driving time from downtown to the Split, 32 minutes by taking the Moanalua, 34 if you take the airport viaduct. Expect heavy H1 traffic to Waikele. Fort Weaver is slow through Westlock, but improves after Old Fort Weaver. The H2 is at speed. At the Leeward Coast, Farrington is slow from Kalailoa Boulevard to Nanakuli. It got slower today because of the rain. Kalailoa Boulevard also a little slower than usual coming out of Campbell Industrial Park. It's backed up to La Willy Willy.
Your source for the best conservative talk radio in Hawaii has gone social. Follow us on Facebook at AM 690 KHNR to catch the latest local and national news, including town hall stories and features by our national hosts. Give us a thumbs up on Facebook at AM 690 KHNR.
Hi, it's a Snowman reminding you that while following the science is important during this time of the pandemic, it's also critical to follow nature and to follow what's actually happening in the real world, not just in a test tube. So on Dr. Health Radio, you'll hear from a multitude of guest experts discussing real-life ways of addressing and avoiding illness and staying naturally healthy. So tune in to David Snow on the Dr. Health Show this Saturday morning at 9 here on AM 690 and FM 94.3, The Answer.
Sebastian Gorka here. The Biden-Harris administration is governing through an unprecedented number of executive orders. We have a good idea of what their agenda means for the country and for your finances. More debt, more regulations, slower growth, and higher taxes. There's even talk of a digital wallet currency and a so-called Great Reset. With massive new spending programs, the Fed is printing money even faster than before. This will likely cause the dollar to fall and gold prices to rise. That's why it's never been more important to own physical gold and silver, and the dealer I trust to do business with is veteran-owned Midas Gold Group. The experts at Midas Gold can even help you convert a portion of your IRA into physical gold and silver to stabilize your portfolio against the coming storm. Call Midas Gold Group for their guide to owning bullion and coins today. 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-4653 or MidasGoldGroup.com. Sebastian Gorka here, and I've warned you about home title theft, where cyber thieves remove your name from your home's title and become the new owner. I've said you better get home title locked because it's coming. Well, if you're on Facebook, that big breach is here. Facebook had 500 million accounts exposed to cyber thieves, and according to a retired FBI cybercrime expert, everything thieves need to take over as the new owner of your home was leaked. Name, address, personal information, it's out there. The thief forges your signature on a quit-claim deed stating you sold your home to him. He'll leave you in debt or even have you evicted. Protect your home's title with Home Title Lock. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and register your address to see if you're already a victim. Then sign up for 30 free days of protection during this high-risk breach. Again, go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code RADIO. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code RADIO.
Now, back to the Mike Buck Show on AM 690 and FM 94.3. The Answer.
Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. This is Gina Crabtree stepping in for Mike Buck. And this Take 5 at 5 p.m. is brought to you by Timmy T's Gourmet Grinders, with 2 locations, Kailua and Bishop Street, making the best sandwiches so fast so you can take 5 with me. Order online and get it delivered at timmytees.com. Now, we are in the middle of celebrating National Teacher Appreciation Week, and today is actually Teacher Day. So we are saying thank you to educators everywhere during this pandemic, for the school year to come, all of the things that we hope we have instilled in these students throughout a very unprecedented time. And with me, I have author and parent coach of Letting Go with Aloha, as well as tutor of Brain Builders, Miss Karen Gibson. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me, Gina.
Absolutely. So I like to do something with my guests, and I hope you will participate. We call it Take 5 at 5 p.m. because I want to know your top 5 of something. So you just released a book. Tell us a little bit more about this.
Well, it started off with releasing 100 parenting tip videos on Facebook Live as well as Instagram, and then I decided to just turn it into a book.
Okay, well, you got 100 great tips in there. I bet you could give me your favorite 5. What do you say? Are you up for the challenge?
Perfect. Yep, of course.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay, number 1. Accept where your child is, not where you want them to be. So it's truly about letting go of parenting expectations. Number 2, as we all know, choose your battles. So instead of arguing about turning on the camera, being tardy, failing a test, sometimes you really have to change perspective.
I'm going to have to stop you right there because that is so important. I learned that the hard way when the first half of the year, which was all digital, was so scary in my house. I'm pretty sure my son wanted to go live with the other parent for a little bit because it was one of those times where every single thing was a battle, right? And so you're trying so hard to make everything so important because, you know, school is so important, but you just can't do that, can you?
No, because then you'll have more resentment. Your kids will not want to go to school, and it will turn into a battleground, which is very ineffective when it comes to parenting.
Oh, such good advice. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that was a huge thing for my household this year, so I completely agree. All right, carry on. We're at number 3.
Okay, number 3, remind your child of their self-worth. They are not defined by grades. They are not defined by behavior. They are not defined by those rolling eyes. You just really
oh, good, because that happens often. Very good.
You have to, you set boundaries, you give consequences, but never let your child feel that they are not loved. That self-worth must be given without being earned. Number 4, a hard one again, release the need to control because parents just feel, you just don't feel safe or you worry about, gosh, are they going to get into drugs? Are they going to fail a class? Are they going to fill in the blank? But once you release control and learn to trust, I promise you, things will be much easier because your children know what to do, but if you push their buttons, then they will rebel. It's just a natural hormonal.
What if they push our buttons? Does that not count? No, I'm sure it doesn't. Not during the school day.
Yeah, just you got to do the deep breathing and do a mom moment.
Yes, very good. So tell me a little bit about where we can find your book, where we can get these 100 amazing tips that, I mean, if I had that when I had my son, he would probably be in a much better state than he is today.
Well, it's available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. Those are the 2 main places because it is available worldwide. But if you're in Hawaii, Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com. And Barnes & Noble did say that they're thinking about doing a book signing once we are in Tier 4. So.
Oh, that's so exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You will have to keep me up to date and let me know when that is so we can put that on social media.
I will. But, Gina, I didn't do number 5.
See, I can't. My apologies. Okay. And last but not least, number 5.
Last but not least, avoid yelling. Our goal is to connect rather than criticize. So we must listen without judgment. And this is a daily struggle with me because I think your voice starts to get louder. I started using a softer voice, which means your child will be like, excuse me, what was that?
I'm sorry, did you say something? Oh, that is smart. Psychology of
because
sound.
When you yell, they yell, and then it becomes like a battle. But if you talk softer, it's like Snape in Harry Potter. When you talk softer, you pause. You have their attention.
Oh, see, I was just taking things away. I'm guessing that wasn't number 6. We could keep going, but you got so much great information. I think you saved that. You wanted to remind me of that last one just because of who I am as a person, so I appreciate you for that. No, that is wonderful. So how can we find you for any of your parent coaching, your tutoring. Do you still have spots available to do after-school tutoring or even a summer program?
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Virtual only. If you're in Mililani, I might be able to see you in person, but you can go on my website, Letting Go with Aloha. And then Brain Builders is up, the Karen, thebrainbuilder.com. You can actually schedule tutoring, find out what academic areas I cover, and there's an article there. And so, or you can call me, 808-306-5374. And I'll do my best to help reduce parenting stress.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you so very much for being with us today and helping us say thank you to teachers and educators and staff and wonderful people like you who have kept our students up and positive and getting through this together. Thank you so much for being with us right here on AM 690, FM 94.3, The Answer.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer.
Conditions are good to East Oahu and to the windward side. Checking out the west side traffic, H1 slows at Radford Drive and the Moanalua at Kaiser. H1 picks up a little speed after the Halava merge, but stays slow to just past the split. The H2 is good up to central Oahu. If you're going to Eva Beach, Fort Weaver is slow now from Westlock to Renton. And if you're going to the leeward coast, Farrington is slow from Kalaeloa Boulevard to Nanakuli.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085.
The following are real-life stories from Trinity Debt Management.
My story begins with debt, a lot of debt.
I used my credit cards as a source of income.
It was not a good situation.
I couldn't pay my bills.
The interest on the cards was really high.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
I initially was scared to call, and immediately I felt relief.
They contacted all of our creditors, and they put us on a plan for success.
Trinity will consolidate your accounts into one easy-to-manage monthly payment, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands.
I've been able to pay off close to $15,000.
We're doing a lot better.
Please pick up the phone and see how affordable and easy it is to pay off your debt.
It's a godsend.
We're debt-free for keeps.
Call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
You're listening to 94.3 FM and AM 690, The Answer. Listen online at theanswerhawaii.com or on the go with The Answer Hawaii mobile app. Tune in, iHeart, or radio.com. Want to join the conversation? Call us toll free. It's 1-833-296-TALK. That's 1-833-296-8255. Now, here's more of the Mike Buck Show on AM 690 and FM 94.3. The Answer.
Aloha, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday afternoon. No, I am not Mike Buck, but I am Gina Crabtree, and this is Take 5 at 5 p.m. while I sit in for Mike until he returns to us in a few weeks. Take 5 at 5 is brought to you by Timmy T's Gourmet Grinders with 2 locations, Kailua and Bishop Street, making the best sandwiches so fast so you can take 5 with me. Order online and get it delivered, timmytees.com. Now, right here on AM 690, FM 94.3, The Answer, we are saying thank you all week, definitely during my show today for another half hour. It is National Teacher Appreciation Week. Actually, today is the formal Teacher Day. So I hope you join me in saying thank you to educators everywhere whether they're teachers, staff, principals. I think even after the pandemic of this school year, the students also deserve a thank you, especially as I am a parent, and I think we're actually going to get through this year. So joining me, as we would like to say thank you to this gentleman as well, Sean Whitwer, a former special education teacher at Farrington High School. I believe you also started when you were 5. You have 17 years of experience, I believe. Is that correct?
This is my 22nd year.
Oh, my
at
goodness.
Farrington High School.
So 5 years went by just like that. Very good. Well, thank you for everything you've done for Farrington. I also see you're the recipient of HSTA's 2021 Pono Award for Social Justice Work. Congratulations.
Thank you, Gina. That's correct.
We will talk more about that and what you did for the House Bill 1291 and a little bit more detail in that. And so now you're part of Speducators. Is that said correctly?
Yes, I joined. I actually applied earlier this year to a Speducator project. It's a fellowship, and I get together every month with special education teachers from all around the islands, from K through 12, representing teachers in elementary, middle school, and high school. And we got together because we really wanted to change the face of special education and really make a difference in our career and in our occupation. So, yeah, I joined the fellowship at the beginning of this year. Janet Kim, who is from UH, put together a collaboration between UH and the Department of Education, along with Derek Govin. So I'm just really excited to be a part of a rockstar special education group that's really working hard this year.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And parents of special education students everywhere, as myself, my son is 9. He is at Malkulani Elementary, and he has ADHD. So we have needed your program and your support and everything that you are doing from a legislation and a teaching perspective. So may I be one of the first to say thank you, because we have needed your assistance.
Well, I appreciate it, and that's one of the reasons why I became a special education teacher. You know, when I was young, I had amazing teachers throughout, my life. Mr. Pablo in 6th grade, Mr. Farm when I was a junior and senior at Kamehameha High School, and my principal, Dr. Chan at Kamehameha. I had a lot of people that just loved and cared for me, and so this is my way of giving back, and I appreciate being able to give back to, special education and the community, especially through these hard times. This last year has been so very difficult for teachers and students and parents and families, and so I really wanted to find a way to give back and to do something that we could celebrate together.
I absolutely agree. And I did notice also that this is not the first time you have had to kind of reinvent things, be creative, think outside the box to get those students to listen and to get the parents to be on board with you. You actually earned some grant money from the Public Schools of Hawaii Foundation and Department of Education a few years back to try to get started with how you helped your classroom before you got to the level you're at now. So can you, for educators who are listening, for parents who may need a little assistance getting through that last month, what did you have to do inside your classroom to be a little more creative?
Wow, that's a great question. That's an amazing question. I've been in education for about 22 years, the first 10 in special education. Then I went to regular education for about 7 years. And so about 5 years ago, the principal asked me to come back to special education. And so I was going through a difficult time transitioning back to special education. And not only was I having, difficulty in the classroom, I was having some difficulties in my personal life as well, too, going through, divorce and whatnot. And when I came back, my students were struggling. As you know, students in special education really have an educational achievement gap. And
it's tough for everyone involved, yes.
Yeah. And so many of the students were struggling, and I was trying to teach them the way I was teaching my regular education students. I was using direct instruction. I was using the state curriculum. I was just really struggling. My students were really struggling, and kind of like a combination of everything. I needed to kind of change things up and reinvent myself. Otherwise, I was going to burn out and leave the profession. And so I had an inspirational idea, and I wanted to use kind of change my curriculum, do some blended learning, incorporate technology a little bit more into the classroom. So I went to my principal about 5 years ago to ask permission if I could change things up. Principal Carganella here at Farrington agreed. He supported me. We got the computers, the Chromebooks I needed.
Oh, wow.
Everything changed second semester. It changed within 1 month, completely how I taught my students. And the one thing that was missing at that particular time is we didn't have a lot of collaborative projects. The great thing about technology is you can do things that you can't do in person with direct instruction, but one of the drawbacks with technology is it kind of separates us and it really isolates us from each other when it's just you on the computer. So I needed to design some ways for the students to kind of come together and work together and collaborate. And so I reached out to the Public Schools of Hawaii Foundation, and I applied for a Good Idea grant. We got it in. We got some technology. We were able to get computers, some
Nice
iPads,
job.
All kinds of things, and we just went in a totally different direction, and the last 3 years just kind of have been an amazing ride, just reinventing myself every year and just trying to meet my students where they're at in a creative way. And so I did reach out to the DOE with an innovation grant to kind of expand the program, and it caught the eyes of the media and some other people as well too. So I've had a lot of amazing experiences because of that.
Well, it sounds like you kind of started the digital movement a while back. So, I mean, we're looking at our kids right now. I was just telling my last guest that, my 9-year-old can get onto Zoom way faster than I could when I had to start that last year. And he's coding in Minecraft and he's doing crazy things in Roblox, and not sure I'm too keen on that last one, but these kids are so smart, and it really tends to help with attention deficit. It tends to help with that special education, some of that tactile feedback and the kinesthetics. Like, are you seeing that you may have started this technology movement a little bit earlier so that it wasn't so terrible for you this year?
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. I am so thankful that I had the support of the Public Schools of Hawaii Foundation and the DOE to kind of start some of these innovative ideas and get the technology. And so I feel like my time came about 2 years before everybody else's. And so when the pandemic hit and we had to transition, it was a lot easier for me because I had the technology in place. I had the infrastructure that I needed. I had the mindset. I had the, classroom processes. And so when we transitioned, it wasn't perfect. It's still difficult, don't get me wrong. But I think I was able to transition pretty well just because that was the direction I was going in. And so, I believe, we've changed in such a way and we've adapted in such a way, it may be hard to go back.
Yeah.
And so,
There were some growing pains, I think, even in my son's school. You would have one teacher that had 3 screens up like she was watching Wall Street stocks. And then you had another one that wanted us to just take pictures of worksheets that were printed out eventually when we got back to that track program and they went a little bit in person. So you had so many different varieties of ability. And it did make some really shine. And then some others, it was really challenging. And I know for students, it was probably exactly the same. So that creativity, definitely, I think the growing pains may have been less for you, but certainly not unheard of and not unseen. So thanks for still trying. We appreciate that. So tell me a little bit more about this House Bill 1291. I mean, how has this helped the special education students? What was the premise behind it, and how did you work on that legislation?
So, again, it's been like a 5-year ride. About 5 years ago, I was really frustrated with the achievement gap. And I told my principal, I have a goal. I want to see more special education students graduate with honors from high school.
Oh, wow.
And
that's
so
not an easy task.
No, because by nature you have an achievement gap. By nature you have an academic gap between students with and without disabilities. And so at Farrington High School, and I'm sure you could find this at any high school, around that time we had about 40% of the student population that graduated with honors. But if if you look at students with disabilities, typically year in and year out, you won't have any students that graduate with honors. So our honors graduation rate among students with disabilities was 0%. You know, in a good year, we might have one. So I went to the principal. I told him, you know, can I make some changes? I have an ambitious goal, and I want to try to work to see if we can graduate 5 students on the honor roll, which is 3.0, cum laude status.
Right.
And so I worked with a number of students. I was originally thinking that 4 were going to graduate with honors, but the pandemic, one of them wasn't quite able to make it at the end. But the good news is 3 of the students last year graduated from Farrington High School that started out in special education and graduated with honors. They were cum laude graduates.
Oh my goodness!
And,
congratulations!
Yeah, it was a big accomplishment for the students. And then when these 3 graduated and the summer hit, I finally realized, like, wait a minute, now what?
Right? Oh, that summer break where everyone's like, the students love it, but the teachers are like, no, come back. You're going to forget everything.
I was like, well, they graduated with honors, but are they going to go to college? You know, it just kind of hit me like, wait, that wasn't enough. You know, we made history, but it's like, that's not enough. You know, now what? Can I help them get to and through college? And at the same time, I had a student of mine, a junior at the time, Nicole, who's going to become a senior this year. She's a fantastic student. She's going to be our first student in special education that graduates summa cum laude here.
Whoa! And what is that threshold? Is that 3.5?
No, that's Magna. Summa cum laude is 3.8.
Wow.
So I challenged her about 2.5 years ago. She had a 3.3 at the time, and I challenged her. I said, would you like to be the first Farrington graduate that graduates with a higher honors? She goes, well, what are you talking about, magna cum laude? I'm like, well, no, a little higher. I was thinking summa cum laude. And she's like, what? And she's like, well, how do I do that? And I said, well, you need to get a 4.0 for the next 2.5 years.
Oh, no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure,
wow.
But you know what? I saw amazing potential in her, and she went out there and she did it. She did everything I asked her to do. She sacrificed. There was so much more to the story than we have time for, but she got straight A's, and then during right before this year started, she contacted me. She's like, I'm stressing what I do. How about college? I said, you know what? I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure that, you know, we get you a college scholarship. And then as we started the process, it dawned on me, well, why don't we do this for all students in special education? So I reached out to my representative, Takashi Ono, who is on the educational committee in the House. And Nicole and I actually together worked with our representatives, with Senator Kim in the Senate side. And we kind of came together with this idea that would expand the definition of academic excellence. Mm-hmm. So right now, if you look at Hawaii revised statutes, the definition of educational excellence is a student that gets a 4.0, a student that scores in the top 10 percentile on their SAT or ACT, or a student that is a valedictorian.
Wow.
And
so that's kind of the creme de la creme. How do they expect a majority of students to even reach that type of level?
Well, you know, from my perspective, I thought it was a bit unfair because it kind of excludes students with special needs.
Well, I wasn't even there, and to be fair, I was not in a classroom that had special needs, and I thought I did relatively well until I hear stuff like that, so very good.
Well, you have done well, and you're inspiring people on the radio here on this show. And so what I did is I asked the state of Hawaii to expand the definition of what academic excellence is to include students with disabilities. So HB 1291 included students who receive special education services in grades 7 through 12 for at least 2 years that got a 3.0 or higher. And so if a student in special education meets those criteria, they can apply to be a part of the UH Scholars Program.
I see.
And so, yeah, It was a very interesting journey. It was a little scary at times, but I really wanted to do something for my students to let them know, I know there's a lot of crazy things going on in our nation and in Hawaii. And, when we didn't look like we had enough money in Hawaii to, meet our budget or whatnot, people were talking about taking money away from special education. And I work with these students every day, and I'm like, this is not acceptable. And so I told my students, what, your education is important to me. You guys are important. Your future is important. And I'm going to go out and do something to show you guys that someone out there is going to fight for you guys and fight for your futures and your education.
That is exactly what you did. And that is why you are here with me this afternoon. We're going to take a quick break. I still want to hear more about your achievements and student success stories. So stick with us right here. We've got another segment with Sean Whitwer coming up right here on AM 690, FM 94.3, The Answer.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer.
If you're an East Oahu or Windward commuter, expect a typical ride this afternoon with no unusual slowdowns. Traffic to the west slowly getting better. Both freeways are still backed up on the way to the stadium, but improving. The driving time from downtown to the H1-H2 split, 25 minutes, and it's the same whether you take the H1 or the Moanalua. Leeward Coast traffic is slow on Farrington from Wet and Wild to Nanakuli.
We at DHX, Dependable Hawaiian Express, don't want auntie or uncle getting sick. Please wash your hands with soap and water multiple times a day. Practice great hygiene, social distancing, and stay safe.
Dependable Hawaiian Express, DHX.
Next time you need to ship ocean or air freight, think DHX, Dependable Hawaiian Express. We operate from major West Coast ports and move container load and smaller shipments from anywhere in the United States or to Guam or internationally. So, next time you ship, call your local DHX, Dependable Hawaiian Express office or toll free 800-488-4888.
Dependable from start to finish. Dependable Hawaiian Express, DHX.
What makes Makai HR great is they make it very easy for you to operate your business.
At KN Lawn Service, president and owner Costa Nam trusted his business on Oahu and Maui with Makai HR.
They lowered our rates. And I remember when we were doing healthcare here on our own, we would just get ripped.
Makai HR, getting Hawaii back to business. Visit MakaiHR.com/value for your free, no obligation analysis.
So I had done my research and really found that it was not a clear-cut solution to go in with surgery. And if anything, there were a lot of people that reported more problems. And once you go down that route, you're kind of stuck there, right? So I'm just so thankful that there is treatment like Dr. Joe's where you can naturally help the body heal and recover.
That's like a miracle. No, it really
is a miracle. I honestly run around and sing his praises everywhere.
We love Dr. Joe.
And you will too. UpperCervicalHawaii.com.
Are you afraid of opening your mail only to find another certified letter from the IRS? Does a knock at your door make you afraid to answer? If you're on the edge of the IRS, get relief from David Ramirez and the tax pros at Tax Relief Services. They specialize in tax problems, liens, and garnishments and will get you back on track. Don't fear opening your mail or answering the door any longer. Call 589-2322. That's 589-2322. Or online at taxreliefservices.com.
Have you got a question? Want the answer? It's right here and right now. Here's more of the Mike Buck Show on AM 690 and FM 94.3. The Answer.
Teach your children well. Their father's help did slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams. The one they picked, the one you know by.
That's right, and we are saying thank you to teachers everywhere. Whether they are sitting in a school classroom helping out K through 12, or they are making legislation differences, like my current guest, Sean Whitwer. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
Absolutely, Gina. It's been an honor and a privilege to represent teachers.
Well, we are honored, and I would like for you to participate in something I like to do on the Take 5 show at 5 p.m. I like to hear about top 5 things, either the changes you've made in the classroom or how a student could be successful, or even you would like to share with us what you do on Fridays that help us exit this school year on a positive note. So do you have 5 tips and tricks for our listeners that are just trying to get through May?
Yes, absolutely. If you take these top 5 tips, then you're definitely going to go out of this year into May with a bang. So my first tip is, number 1, just take 100% responsibility for what you can control. There's a lot of things we can't control right now, so there's a lot of things outside of our hands. So we can't control the weather. We can't control what the governor is going to do. We can't always control what the principals of each school are going to do, but we can. If you're a student out there or a parent, what we can do is we can control our attitude. We can control our actions, and we can try to make a difference. So number 1, just take responsibility for what you can control.
I love that. Very good.
And the second tip that I have is number 2, just practice self-care, practice self-love. Take the time to meet your needs, to take care of your own happiness. You know, like if you're flying on an airplane and you hit turbulent weather and the oxygen masks fall down, the first thing you want to do is you want to secure your own mask before you try to help your children or your neighbor next to you. And so one of the things that I learned by being a part of this SPEDucator Fellowship, I realized how stressed
goodness.
Special education teachers are. You know, working with students with disabilities at times can be very challenging, and sometimes their fears, their trepidations, their beliefs, sometimes it rubs off on you, and some of the same challenges that special education students have are some of the exact same challenges special education teachers have, and all teachers for that matter. So really take the time to fill up your tank and, have that self-compassion and empathy that, you're doing really well under some really difficult circumstances. So, don't beat yourself over the head. You've done a good job.
I absolutely agree. Well, we only have a couple minutes left, and I don't want to shortchange your tips. So let's roll through the last 3 real quick.
So just take the time to reflect. If it's journaling or something in your morning, there's a lot of things that went right. So what went right? Maybe there were some things that didn't go as you expected, but what kind of adjustments do you need to make? So, and what did you learn from it? So take time to just kind of reflect. And tip number 4 is socially connect. Okay. I know we've been taught to socially distance and all that. Students need connection. They need to be able to connect with their teachers and friends, whether it's on Zoom or in person. Just take the time to just connect with someone and let them know how much you care about them, especially teachers, Teacher Appreciation Week. And number 5, despite what has happened, don't give up on your dreams. Just continue to dream big dreams, set big goals for yourself in your life. There's still a lot of hope. There's still a lot of game left. And so just go out there and keep pursuing your dreams no matter what's come up.
Well, I think you just helped me end my day with a bang. So thank you very much, and congratulations again on winning the HSTA's 2021 Pono Award. That is quite the honor, and we are blessed to have you working with our special education staff and students over at Farrington, and we greatly appreciate you not just this week, but all throughout the year. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Gina, so much. It was a pleasure and an honor to be here with you and your guests.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sticking in with me here at the Take 5 at 5 p.m., brought to you by Timmy T's Gourmet Grinders. We will have another segment tomorrow about the National Day of Prayer. So stay tuned right here on AM 690
and FM 94.3.